to say something about my past life. I never thought that I was going to live here in this country. We have a specific ideology when you are an anthropologist in the South, especially with all these conquest, Spanish conquer experience for 500 years. So Ecuador is a really interesting country. We are in the middle of the planet. It's a tropical country. It's really tiny. It's probably the third or fourth part of Texas. However, it's pretty diverse. It's one of the most diverse countries in the planet. We have 4 regions: mountains, coast, islands, and mountains, coast, islands, and jungle, and the jungle. And we have 15 ethnic groups living there, ethnic indigenous groups living there. And during my 15 years, I was working as a cultural anthropologist, registering all these cultural manifestations. These include languages, traditions, oral traditions, festivals, costumes. And part of this research includes the mestizo world. And I think that is the part that I belong. I am a result of a mixed. We were mixing for 500 years. And the consequence, or the resolution that we found in culturally speaking, was something that in the Indian region called syncretism. So the syncretism is that manifestation where we navigate our lives with beliefs coming from the Western world, indigenous world, and African world. And I never thought that I would be here talking about this. And I think it's a great opportunity because I really want to offer a lens of culture in this context. So I will share my screen. I want to talk about resilience and healing from the cultural lens. And I found a really interesting analogy to explain this from a systemic view. If we think in terms of biology, ourselves, our body is an organism. And in our organism, we have different organs or parts. And one of these parts are the tissue. And as you know, the tissue represents, I would say, the glue. I mean, everything is a group of cells that have similar structure, function together as a net, and support the cell multiplication and repair damaged tissues. That means this tissue covers all the organs and provides some kind of like unit and fill all these gaps between the organs and provide a coherence function in the whole organism. So the tissue in multicellular animals like us and plants have these specialized tissues that can organize and regulate an organism's response to its environment. So if we keep in mind the tissue as these cells that are providing unit to all the parts in the body, it's interesting that I found in my readings, and May actually is the month for the World Lupus Day, we have this weird illness that probably you have heard, that is lupus. So lupus has a really weird condition, because what lupus does is the immune system attacks the body. So there is not a clear explanation why that happens in our bodies, but 90% of lupus patients are women. And as intense is this attack from the immune system, the organism or our bodies can be in serious danger, because we can experience kidneys failure or serious issues with our liver or other organs, and we can just face death. So this is an example that I found to explain something that happens in this level of our social systems. This is a graphic or design from a theory from Habermas. This is a philosopher, a German philosopher. And he describes like two levels in our human life. One is the mundo de la vida, or world of life. And let's think, or I invite you to think that that could be the matrix, like the tissue that we have in our bodies. And around this matrix, we have the social system. And let's think the social system as the immune system. So what it has been happening in Central America for 40 years is an intense, like the consequence after 40 years of conflict in Central America is this systematic attack from the social system to the matrix. So there is no way anymore that people can stay or remain in their homes or in their communities or in their aldeas or rural places where they live, because the social system is against of the life in Central America, in all the countries that we know: Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. So I was explaining that from this example of the lupus as an illness, and a really strange illness that attacks the immune system attacks our body. So it's something similar happening in Central America after 40 years of conflict, permanent conflict. The social system is attacking the world of life, or the matrix. And we can imagine that this matrix is like the tissue, that keeps everything coherent, and we navigate with all these elements that are language, traditions, culture, beliefs, ways to be, and that is the whole life being reproduced in this context or in this frame. So if the social system is attacking the matrix, we as humans need to do something, right? So immigration is one of the strategies of the things that we have to do, because there's no way to stay. And as strong or heavy the conflict becomes, there are more let's see, more violence happening. It's more difficult to keep doing with life. And this is all the situations or the historical situations that have been happening in Central America during this conflict. So let's talk a little bit or see what is what is this mundo de la vida or this matrix? Can you see this slide? The one about the role, person and family?
Yes.
Okay. So to explain el mundo de la vida or the matrix, we are going to think about 3 elements or 3 principles. And these principles are universal. These principles don't belong to just one culture or one group of humans. So as a species, as a human species, we are social, we are rational, and we are mammals. And that is something that will be the base or the criteria, the base for all the cultures in the world. There is no exception. So if we are social, we have to coexist. And in the social system, we coexist through the role. So the role means I am a teacher, I'm a police officer, I'm a doctor, I'm whatever I want to be. But I have a role in the society that supports a sense of coherence and unit to the whole social system, order. And then we are mammals also. What mammals means, and I believe, or I have the idea that this skill provides connection. You know, we are able to engage our relationships in this level of emotional connection. And the way that we can see that in the social system is through the family. Family is our first emotional connection with other peers, parents, and siblings. So that is something that we can see in all the cultures in the world. Family is a really important element also. And then we are rationals. So that means that I really like to explain that like in present times, that means like we have the freedom to choice. In Spanish is libre albedrío. That means that we can make a decision. And that is a principle that we can see in what we can define as a persona or personality, that we decide who we want to be in the social system. So in a stable social system, this is the way that we are navigating with all these elements coming from the matrix based in these 4 universal principles. And in this matrix, we are navigating with language, like I said, with culture, with everything that creates meaning for ourselves in a specific environment. So in that sense, cultures are different because our environments are different, or natural environments are different. So going back to the Central America situation, when the social system is attacking the matrix, what happens is what we know, like the matrix needs to create or needs to readjust. The situation needs to readjust the whole organism, social organism. And like I said, one could be immigration. So we need to live. There is no way to keep living in the same place. But at the same time, we need to provide, or the system needs to provide, a sense of belonging, connection, and action over these 3 elements. So maybe this is super abstract, but I want to give you a clear examples. What you I choose 3 examples that can express this this way that the social system using the matrix create resilience. So these are movements, or these are a group of people, basically women, doing something after a traumatic experience. We have the example, the rastreadoras or trackers in Sonora, rastreadoras en el desierto de Sonora. They are women who have lost their children or a relative while they were or crossing the desert, or they were of people that disappear, or missing people, and nobody knew how. But these women get together and every day go to the Sonora Desert to look for human remains. The second case is Las Patronas. These women are have been doing this for 15 years, and they live in this town called La Patrona, and they provide every day with food or meals to these people who travels in this train called La Bestia, or known like La Bestia. So every day these women get together and cook and try to give all the meals that they can provide to these people who are traveling. One of them said in the beginning they were like 30, 40 people traveling in this train, and now they estimate like 800 people traveling in this train. And the third example is the Madres de la Plaza de Mayo, that they are super like well recognized movement in Argentina after the dictatorship, when all these youth adults disappear or were missing by the government. In this group have been attending Plaza de Mayo for 44 years. All of these are experiencing personal or family trauma. But the interesting thing about culture, or the matrix that we navigate as a social beings, is the culture can provide the opportunity to find resilience. So identity is one of the elements. I can say living here that I am immigrant, that could be one of my identities. I can say I am a woman, that is another identity that I can pick. But in these cases, what happened is with these women, they get together in the same experience, like losing someone who they love. And that creates a sense of connection with emotion. And this sense of connection creates a sense of action. So in this graphic, I took one of the testimonies from these women from Madres de la Plaza de Mayo after 44 years being part of the movement. And I just want to, and I don't know if it is clear enough, but I just want to show how the system has readjusted around this traumatic experience that has overcome the individual, becomes more that create a sense of collectiveness. So there are three elements that came from this cultural or view the culture as an organism or as a system. And one is memory, the another is action, and the another is meaning. So if you remember, and I'm going backwards. So in the beginning, is this? Yeah. In this graphic, you see these three elements: role, family, person. So the person in a traumatic experience needs to engage with something to overcome trauma. And the culture or the cultural system provides that, that opportunity to find resilience. So the experience to get together and to create an action as a collectiveness can support the healing process, because I have, like an individual, I have the experience of being of a trauma, but at the same time, when you get together in that sense of collectiveness, that I'm not the only one, you can overcome that feeling of freeze, and you can go, let's see, you can create an action, and you can be part of action. So this woman that has been being part of this movement for 40 years, from the Madres de Mayo, she says, I was 40 years when my son was taken away. I always say, my son gave me birth. So this testimony shows us that she experienced her own journey, but at the same time, she experienced a transformation in that journey to overcome trauma. And the other element is that when you create this, or you engage this sense of collectiveness to heal trauma, you create memory in the system, in the social system. That means that we never will forget what happened in that experience. And that is something that is affecting now Argentina, because in the first time in the world, thanks to these women going every day to the Plaza de Mayo and looking for support and asking for answers, in 2003, they experienced the first military junta, like the military government, was judged by the civil law, something that never happened before in the world. And the third thing that is important that happened in the movement of the Madres de Mayo was this sense of meaning, and I will say the truth that came from this experience, collective experience. There is an ancestral right to take care of our debts. That is still, if you think about that, a universal principle for every human being in the planet. That is part of our experience, our traditions, and our sense of be connected, or with the sense of connected with the family experience. So I know could be a little complex, but the thing I want to point out here is we are able to find resilience or to find healing, or systems, social systems support resilience. And this support is based in these four principles that are, we are social, rational, and we are mammals. So if we are social, means that we are capable to find resolution in traumatic experiences. And now that we are talking about natural catastrophes or human catastrophes like war, we have the opportunity to get together, and it doesn't matter if we don't belong to the same culture or speak the same language. the important element here is like all of us have the skill to coexist in a social system. So now that we are having all these fires in New Mexico, the experience is that we have to flee, we have to leave our home, we have to leave our town. But getting together in the experience of the fire danger is where we can create that sense of community or that identity that we are survivors of this experience with the fires. So I really believe that we are holding or we're holding the resolution to find healing. And the only way that I see now is getting together and recognize that the social skill that is part of our lives and is part of our nature. And healing means that we can overcome or be part of this collectiveness means that we can overcome differences. And one of my experience when I went to New Orleans for the first time in my life, and I was dealing with the language. I'm still learning. I have been here in this country for 7 years, and I was struggling really hard with the language, and I feel isolated. I feel a lack of emotional connection with people. But when I visit New Orleans for the first time, I really feel like the language became a secondary experience because the sense of community that I feel there, it didn't make me feel like I was an alien. It made me feel like I was part of that community because I saw through music, through food, through the parades that I could engage that relation with everything in that environment, and I really didn't miss the language. And I truly believe that maybe that is the base to find a real social justice. And the word that you see in this circle that it says justia is the Latin root for the word justice. And we understand justice, and in this meaning, in this original meaning, justia means balance. And balance to me is something that is dynamic, something that is moving, something that is transforming. So balance is not always in balance because we are navigating in a lot of dynamic experiences, many changes. So when we have to face those changes, like immigration, like war, like natural catastrophes, we need to readjust the whole thing. I mean, we have to readjust like individuals, but we need to readjust the whole system that we are part of. And that readjustment is something that we can see happens in nature. So I truly believe that our system, the cultural systems, the cultural human systems are mirroring nature all the time. That we are in that knowledge or understanding that we are following the cycles. We are following all these ways that nature face struggles or challenges. But we have those skills that we can recreate social reality. So working with families here in Central America, living in this country, the struggles are huge because unfortunately we have so many categories to create this division between humans. But if we are capable, if we can see that we are humans and we can get together as a communities, probably we can see the opportunity to overcome these differences and transcend or find another level of consciousness as a humans that is not about who you are or where are you from or what language do you speak. It's about what are you bringing to this community. And living in South America with experience of syncretism, I just want to conclude with this. Syncretism is a way that we found a conciliation between a traumatic experience that represented the encounter of two paradigms. And that encounter, it was extremely traumatic. And I feel and I know that that happened in my ancestors. But at the same time, I can see the strength that that experience brought to the present generations to navigate with struggles or difficulties. And in every day in my work, I'm focused in this sense of collectiveness that is represented in our families. We are a program that we want to offer our services based in the family sense of service, because these families living this big social system that was taking care of them in Central America, now the unit, the family, is the closest sense of collectiveness or community, you know, and it's really strong because the families that we are supporting in Central America or we're helping, they are the same families are the ones who are supporting their relatives in their countries. They never have forgotten the ones who stayed behind. They are helping them every day, sending money, sending resources, sending emotional support. And so there's not way to save when you are, you know that you have this responsibility with the ones that you love. And this is the same sense of these groups, these women here, that they never will recover from the trauma, or they never will forget the ones that they lost. But in the action that they are doing, they can see that they are taking care of others. So they are not in lack, or they are still in that desire to connect and to belong, something that they believe. And the deeper belief, if we see closer, it's this mother nature, that they want to provide protection, they want to provide answers, they want to provide food, they want to provide love. And it doesn't matter if they it doesn't matter if these people are people that they know or they don't know. It's just the experience that they can overcome their trauma helping others. And that is the spirit that I see happening in this collective experience when I work with families. Is the intention to keep helping, keep giving anything that we can give.